Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of the Lord Ninja Choke MMA Picks podcast. Today, I'm joined by Josh in Australia and Will in the UK, and we'll be giving you all of our bets we placed for UFC 323 taking place at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, headlined by Merab, Dvalishvili, and Petr Yan in their second encounter, and the co-main event of Pantoja versus Van for the Flyweight Championship. Before we go into our bets for UFC 323, let's take a look at how we did at UFC Qatar.
Alrighty, so this slate for me was a weird one. It got very messy. Ended up staking 18.38 units, which is a very random number, and profiting basically nothing, 0.29. So a break-even week, which, to be honest, given how many X's are on that slate, I'm happy with. Started off badly on the Friday. I bet a regional Cage Warriors woman because, of course, I did, and it didn't go very well. Because, of course, it didn't. So that was that. the actual UFC card itself took a stab on Ryan Loder, but he got KO'd in a minute or whatever. He's a wrestler. I thought he had a wrestling advantage. He didn't use it. What can you say? Shamrock, I thought, would be a little bit more aggressive in the opening round or two. I liked the price at plus 550. Took a stab for half a unit, didn't pay out. The Yakaev Sakara fight was my best, some of my best work of the week. Managed to identify a book that was offering fight to end in a minute at plus 750, which I thought was very, very nice. It was one of those weird fights where when you have a finish that's supposed to come so early, sometimes the books and the models that they use to generate their prices get very confused. So I was able to find the over 0.5 at plus money and the under 0.5 at plus money as well. So I arbed it for 1.6 units profit, and then obviously made about 3.5 units or whatever on the ends in a minute. So that was nice. And then Nicholas Dalby. I don't usually live bet very often. As somebody from the UK, I'm usually either drunk or sleep deprived or not even watching the card. So there's not really much opportunity for it. But this one was a lot earlier. And I thought Nicholas Dalby was either 1-1 or 2 rounds up going into round 3. So I consistently bet him for a unit and a half, basically just a little bit over, at like plus 300, plus 350, and plus 550. And I couldn't understand those numbers, so I was very happy to get away with that one. That was nice. Luke Riley was the big bet for me of the week. We were just talking about it before we went on air. It was an interesting fight. It went exactly as I expected it to, I guess. But I don't really know how I feel about it, because at the end of the day, the guy I bet lost like 90% of the fight, didn't he, really? Which is just kind of a weird one. What else have we got? God, there's loads of little stabs here. Gaziev decision. It didn't pay out at all. Ulanbekov to win in over 1.5 rounds was a terrible bet. Shout out to Horiguchi. That was a great performance. Well done to him. Bilal Muhammad, yeah, I had a go. He at the end of the day, I had questions about Ian's takedown defense, and he absolutely passed the test. Like, what more can you say? I would obviously never have bet it if I've known that. So we tried, we failed. And probably the worst part to end it all, Sarukian to win and like various distances. Dan Hooker was disappointing, really disappointing. I think the way that he kind of just gave up, I could see it coming. Like about 2 minutes before the finish happened, I said on Discord he's about to get subbed. You could just tell he just wilted and quit, which was really disappointing. So that kind of stabbed me in the back. But yeah, small amount of profit. It is what it is. Just one of those weeks that I've forgotten about already. So on to the next. Dom, how did you go?
Yes, I mean, with the pre-flop betting, I was down slightly, as you can see here, minus 12%. But I did manage to bet Horiguchi live, so I managed to add a little bit to him. Actually, in the first round, I could see that he was, much faster than Tagir, and at that point, I think he was still plus money in the first round, and yeah, it was pretty much one-way traffic after the first round. Horiguchi, as you said, had a great performance and finished Tagir, and I think Tagir's done now. Tagir Ulanbekov is done at 125. He's going to move up to 135, which he probably should have done a while ago, because it became clear that it was his worst cut. The commentary team said so actually in round 1. So if you were listening to the commentary team, then you would have known that he was probably going to not have a great performance down the stretch, which turned out to be the case. Yeah, a couple of good reads. So I had Almabayev in round 3, and that was probably the best read that I had. I wrote that up on Reddit. Also felt that Oralby was going to win in round 1. I should have bet that, really, because I've been saying it all week that the weight cut was going to drain Jack Hermansson and affect his chin, and of course it did. I don't think Oralby is like he hits hard, but he's not the hardest hitter. Especially at welterweight, I don't expect him to finish like many people in the first round. But Jack Hermansson was compromised walking into the cage pretty much. So yeah, those are the things that went well. But then I had these little sprinkles, and well, Loader was the worst. I added to the Loader. I don't know why I just suddenly got confident in Loader and added an extra unit on him, but that was obviously a terrible bet. I sprinkled Hurkacz because the odds were so wide. It wasn't a big bet, but that definitely wasn't a good bet. I don't know why I had Gaziev on here or Bekzat because I didn't research these fights. This is the problem when you extend yourself beyond what your strong reads are. It's something I need to work on moving forward. When you spend a lot of time investigating a card, you want to like kind of have action on a lot of fights. Where I think it's better to sort of go narrow and deeper in terms of fights rather than go too wide. So that was my main learning here. Josh, how was your event?
Pretty good. I mean, I got no real complaints there. My predictions are slowly creeping up towards the 65% range, although I don't think I'm going to hit it, but it'd be nice. My only lock was Yakiayev, and that was a complete dominant performance from him. But then I was a bit disappointed by how Izagakmaev fought. I mean, he was meant to be like the new hot prospect, right? And he fought like dog shit. And so no real nice words there. My parlay hit, and that gave me a good 4 units, extra in my pocket or whatever. And then as usual, or as is most recent from last week, as you could see from last week's result as well, my alt bets all missed. And typically I always try to have like one hit, but then when all of them don't hit, it feels bad. So no matter what my parlay says there, I don't care about the green for the parlay. The parlay is nice and all, but the alt bets is where the real money comes in, and unfortunately that didn't really hit. But on a very slight plus side, as you can see, Sarukian submission round 2 in my predictions, I hit that perfectly. And what I'm doing recently is that I'm betting like $2 on each perfect prediction. So whatever you see there, I'm putting $2 there. So for example, Ozdemir KO round 3, $2 there, all that stuff. So the Sarukian submission round 2 gave me like 6 units because I put $2 there, and the odds were like 16.00, so I'm pretty happy about that. So overall, I made money, which is always good, but like I just want my alt bets to hit for once, really. Like that's just my goal, kind of towards the end of the year. So not a bad event for me. Yeah.
Well, I think you're up quite a lot. I mean, even if you made 20 and you lost 12, you're up, right? So that's good.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this is the 323 card that we have here. I think it's a great card. Are you guys particularly excited for any of these fights or all of them? What's caught your eye and what are you looking forward to?
I have been a huge advocate or fan or whatever for Joshua Van. I mean, I'm sure throughout these episodes that we've done this year, whenever Van's name came up, I was like hyping him up like I'm related to him somewhat, but I'm not. I really think that we might see a title change here. I'm not going to bet on Van in this event, but I might pick him as like a topology pick or whatever. I just don't really think that Pantoja is that strong of a champion. I mean, he has been a dominant champion, but then again, the competition hasn't really been too great. There's been a lot of rushed contenders who were quickly brought up to that point in their career where they could face a champion. So I think Van's at the right spot in his career to take on Pantoja. Other than that, it just feels like a regular old pay-per-view, right? Like you see fighters like Vittori in there, big names. McKinney Duncan's gonna be fun. Blackowicz is somehow out of the retirement village and into the UFC again. So I don't know what the hell's going on there, but good that he's back. But let's hope that he doesn't, get osteoporosis whilst he's stepping into the cage. Talbot Cejudo, interesting. I mean, I can see why Cejudo wants to fight again because it's his legacy or whatever. But he's facing Talbot, a taller, longer, younger guy. I mean, who knows what's going to happen there? So, really, apart from all that ranting that I've just done, it's a pretty fun card. I mean, action from top to bottom, really. What about you, Will? What do you think?
Yeah, overall, really excited with this card. I think apart from the Merab fight and the Mansour Abdul Malik fight, literally everything else is competitive. The biggest favorite is like minus 275. So that implies that every fighter has a path to victory. Those kind of fights always really interest me. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how it all goes down.
Yep, and obviously I'm excited because I will be there to watch it live. It is a bit expensive actually to watch the UFC live these days. So when I told my wife how much the tickets were, she almost hit me over the head. But it was shortly after the Aswell and the Yadiel Davae, the Bulgarian incident. So I was feeling quite flush. So I told her about those and not about my recent losses. So yeah, let's move on to the bet, shall we, and see how we're going to make money and how I'm going to make up for the ticket price.
I mean, anyone who listens to the show regularly will know that the last time Peyton Talbot fought on a UFC pay-per-view, you were there live and you had a great night. You were hitting like dogs back to back to back. So hopefully it's the same kind of night for you. But yeah, onwards to my bets for the card. I've got quite a few of them already, mainly moneyline plays. Starting off with Brandon Moreno, I just don't think that he should be the underdog. I think he has proven time and time again that he can handle a grappler and he can handle keeping the fight where he wants it to be and basically just showing dominance over that kind of style. And if you take Tyro's grappling out of the equation, he's not anywhere near the fighter that he is kind of promoted as, and he's definitely not on Brandon Moreno's level. So I think the wrong guy's favored there. I understand it's going to be a close fight. Moreno definitely prefers 5 rounds to 3, and we've got 3 here, so that's not great. But at plus 120, I absolutely had to. Next up, another contentious fight is Bruno Ferreira's money line. I know a lot of people are on either side on this one, so it should be very interesting to see it go down. I just don't understand how you could bet Marvin Vettori at minus odds. He's quite clearly on a sharp decline. He's an absolute bonehead. He doesn't game plan. He doesn't seem to fight to his opponent's weaknesses. He just wants to stand and trade jabs. And the issue with that for Vettori is that he has absolutely no power himself, and he also blocks punches with his face. So the main angle I'm seeing from a lot of people on the Vettori side is that Vettori doesn't get knocked out, and Bruno Ferreira is so damage-based and finish-based that what happens if it goes 15 minutes? I hear you, but my issue with that is that judges still score damage, and they still score damage-looking shots, if that makes sense. Even if Vettori doesn't get hurt, if Bruno Ferreira snaps his head back with every punch he lands, that is going to count for something. And I just don't think that Vettori can hang with the firepower. I don't think he should be expected to win striking-based rounds here. There's cardio concerns a little bit on Ferreira's side, and also Vettori might be the better grappler, but I don't expect him to use it. I just think that most of the time when this fight happens, it's going to be Ferreira landing heavier and winning the round on the feet. So plus 100 feels great to me. I'm very surprised that this money line stuck around and that he's also the dog. I just don't get that. Anyway, next up, Macy Barber. At the time of recording, we've got a long time until weigh-ins and face-offs and stuff. So we talked about it on the Early Leans podcast. Macy Barber's not in a very trustworthy position. I absolutely understand that. She pulled out of the last fight due to like a fight day injury or illness. I think it was, illness. And that's concerning, and if the same thing shows up here, I'm very much expected to cash out of this. So my finger is very ready on the cash out button. But if Macy Barber looks good, this is one hell of a discount. I think she has all the tools to put her opponent under the pressure that her opponent likes to put other people. So I think Karine Silva is going to run headfirst into a wall here because she very much likes to bully her opponents, and that's not something you can really do to Macy Barber. So I think -150 is a really good discount, assuming Macy looks good. And given that the line seems to be trending towards, I think Barber's now like -170, -175. I'm expecting to have enough value that I should get all my money back on the cash out, if not a little bit of profit. So I'm in a good spot with that one, but I'm poised to cash out on it if I need to. Next up, Faraz Ziam. I've not bet this yet because the line is moving around quite a lot, and I'm not sure when the best entry point will be. I think that Sadikov is overrated. I think that Ziam is a far better minute winner, and I trust him to stay safe. I think if it goes 15 minutes or it goes late, which it probably will, knowing Ziam, he is defensively quite aware. I think Sadikov, it looks inferior minute by minute and also has potential to gas out. So I'm probably going to have 2 units across Ziam's money line and the round 3 or decision prop. Haven't obviously split those out yet because we don't have props, but I'll have about 2 units on him by fight night, I imagine. Next up, parlay of Grant Dawson and Peyton Talbot. Dawson, very binary matchup. I think he hits the takedown straight away and just coasts. I think he needs to respect the dangerousness, but once he gets out of round 1, he should be in cruise control. -200 doesn't feel steep enough for him in that instance. So I don't think his chin is a concern necessarily. I know he got caught by Bobby Green, but like it can happen. There's not been any other instance of his chin looking dodgy, I don't think. So I'm happy to give him a benefit of the doubt. And Peyton Talbot just needs to go out there and beat somebody who's coming in here for a paycheck. Henry Cejudo should not be fighting at this level. He should not be fighting on this card. He should not be fighting, full stop, in my opinion. I don't think he will look terrible, but I don't think he's going to have any kind of grit and desire to actually win this fight. And I think Peyton Talbot has demonstrated that you're going to have that if you want to beat him. Cejudo doesn't wrestle much anymore either. So, like, what's he going to do? He's at like a 6-inch reach disadvantage and like 5 inches of height or something. He's undersized and he's just not got the will to cover that. Also, Grant Dawson rounds 2 or 3. As just going back to that fight quickly, Torres has only ever finished fighters in round 1. I think any fight of his that's gone past round 1, he's lost it. Maybe that's probably correct. So I just think Dawson takes over if he makes it to the stool. So you should get a decent price on the round 2 or 3 there. And finally, Terence McKinney round 1 or Chris Duncan round 2. This is me getting a bit creative here. That's obviously not a selection you can actually bet at any book, but you can Dutch it yourself, figure out the probability, and then bet both sides to a very specific stake to basically make that bet. I've always said it with McKinney. He's one of those fighters who's really good and really dangerous in round 1. And Chris Duncan can be got at, so I understand McKinney's path to victory in round 1, but I think if he makes it to round 2, Chris Duncan will take over. So to me, that's the 2 most likely paths to victory in the fight. Covering those, I don't know what price I'll get, but if it is plus money, then I'd absolutely take it, but I don't know if it will be. So kind of spitballing on that one. But yeah, everything that's in bold is what I've already bet, but these are my intentions between now and the actual fight night. Dom, what have you got for the card?
Yeah, as Will is mentioning, we're recording this quite far out from the event itself, so about 10 days out, and the props won't drop for another 3 or 4 days. So what we're working with is the money lines. So here you can see my money lines, that bets that I've already placed. I have 3 units on Ivo Baranievsky. He's taking on Ibo Aslan. We talked about that in the previous episode. I think Ibo Aslan is not a very good fighter, basically. I think if you look at his early record, he has a lot of fights against fighters with no record, a 0-7 guy, a 0-0 guy, a 1-2 guy, an 8-14 guy. In fact, majority of Ibo's wins, because he looks like he has a great record, right? He's got 14 KOs or TKOs, and then he's just got 2 submission losses and 1 decision loss. But like, I think his record's very padded. I think his main advantage here in this fight against Ivo Baranievsky is that he is the experienced UFC fighter. So he's got 2 wins and 2 losses. The unfortunate thing for Aslan is he's coming off 2 losses, and not to great fighters as well. He's also lost to Ion Cutelaba and Billy Elikana, and the Elikana performance was really, really off color. He didn't throw much. He looked tentative. Ivo Baranievsky's full of confidence. He's on a long win streak, so he's undefeated. He's 6-0, coming off a win on Dana White's Contender Series, where he was a big underdog and he won within 20 seconds. But the key thing about Ivo is that he has a long amateur career. So he had like 14 or 15 fights amateur. And actually, he was a European judo champion, so he has this strong ability on the ground. I fully expect him to shoot pretty early on Ivo Aslan and make short work of him. So give me Ivo Baraniewski inside the distance, round one, ground and pound probably. And then I'm backing Peter Yan, as I mentioned in the previous episode. I understand that Merab should be a big favourite. I think that Yan will offer Merab his stiffest test to date as champion, and I know this is the 4th time he's defending in a year. The first fight with Peter Yan was injured. He said so himself. There's evidence in the tape. So what he said was that his hand was broken. He couldn't throw the right hand. It definitely turns out to be true if you watch the tape. I think Yan has a good style to defend takedowns against Merab, keep the fight close. I do expect Merab to be winning the early battles. But at this price, 5.5 plus 400, you can't go too far wrong. The risk reward is very much in Yan's favor. I do think it probably goes late. And I think Yan can come on strong in the later rounds. Will's already talked about Moreno. I think Moreno could potentially be the best dog on the card, plus 110. Tyra is definitely live if he gets the takedowns, but people don't often take Moreno down for long or successfully. So he's got a good takedown defense. It's over 60% in the UFC. And he's never been submitted in the UFC. And I do think submission is Tyra's, primary path to victory. I don't think he does a lot of damage, on the mat. His ground and pound is improving. His stand-up's improving. He might be the man. We'll see what happens. But I feel strongly that Moreno should be the favourite, as Will said. Will's also talked about Dawson. I think Dawson is a vastly superior mixed martial artist to Torres in terms of well-roundedness and specifically a big advantage on the mat. I think that Torres is very live early. But I expect Dawson to be safe and shoot early and ride out the early storm. If you're worried about playing Dawson, you can also take, Torres round 1 KO to hedge your bet. And then lastly, in the money lines, I have Josh Van. I think Josh Van is going to have to weather an early storm against Pantoja. I think Pantoja is, a bit of a hurricane, in a teapot, so to speak. Early on, he's going to be coming forward. He's going to be throwing heavy. He's going to look to take Van's back. He's going to look to sub him. So really, playing Van is a play on volume and accumulative damage over 5 rounds. I think Van can get it done. I think he can get it done late. Van and Yan for me. That's what I've got here. The parlay, passing of the guard, the Yan and Van parlay, 0.323 units at odds of plus 1200. Let's go. And then I have the same parlay as Will, Dawson, and Talbot. Talbot worries me a little bit in terms of value. I think he's going to get it done, but I think at minus 270, you can't really play him straight. I just don't think there's a lot of value there. For a parlay piece, I think it's okay. So yeah, I think that's going to be the sort of square parlay for me that I'm going to put in here. At the bottom part here is the bets that are pending, still under consideration. I think Naimov and Santos, I think the line is a little bit wide. I think that if Naimov points handicap is plus money, I think that could be interesting. I think that Naimov winning a round is very live. Do I think Santos could finish Naimov? Yes, I think it's definitely possible, but I think probably the fight goes to decision. Then I'll be looking to increase my exposure to Yan through the points handicap or potentially decision. Now, actually, I think Merab's primary path to victory is going to be decision. I think that will be pretty chalky. Everything else here, I think I've pretty much spoken about. Guskov is 10 years younger than Jan Blachowicz, so I'm not necessarily going to bet these. I'm just thinking about these props at the moment. I think if that's plus money, that could be interesting because I think Jan Blachowicz wins by decision. Primarily that's the main way he wins. Will spoke about the McKinney-Duncan fight, so I think that's chaos. I think that will definitely end within the first half. And then I mentioned that Talbot and Cejudo may be close, and I think that's because Cejudo has the grappling upside. I think he's also smart, so I think he'll find ways to slow the fight down. Talbot can't be too overzealous, walking forward and throwing heavy. He's a sniper, right? So of course he backs himself, and he'll probably do that in the first round and probably get taken down, work back to the feet. May look a little bit like the Riley fight last week, and he gets the second round knockout. But I think over 1.5 rounds kind of hedges me a little bit from the parlay that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's it for me. What have you got, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I got a fairly blank ass slate right now. I mean, I got a parlay going on, but it's a very haphazard one, I suppose. Leg 1 and 2 is going to be maybe switched around somewhere. I don't know. Like if I don't switch it around, I'm happy. But if I do, then it's whatever. So Sadikov Ziam over 2.5 rounds. I reckon that fight's gonna be pretty competitive because Ziam has shown the ability to kind of thrive in these really intense bouts, and I mean we know that Sadikov is going to bring the pain. So no matter what way you kind of cut that fight up into pieces, you're gonna get a war that's going to probably go to the distance, or at least into the late third round. It's going to be pretty great. McKinney Duncan round 3 starts no. What really is to say about this one? Like it's a pretty as advertised fight. McKinney has round 1 cardio. I don't know where his treadmill has gone. I don't know if his gym has cancelled cardio for, I don't know, horrible boxing sessions because McKinney's striking is so shit. But I really don't see this fight going any further than maybe the second round, God forbid, because fuck. Pantoja Van round 4 starts. I mean, that's a pretty basic 5-round prop there, right? I mean, we all expect that at this level of competition, a high level bout like this will go into the championship rounds, and that's all I'm asking, really. Like, as long as these two guys don't kill each other in the first 3 rounds, I'm happy. I'm going to be like a parent who has two kids in the back. They hate each other. You know, it's a long drive to wherever the fuck, and you just hope that those two kids don't kill each other. There's no bloodbath in the back. You know, all that stuff. Dvalishvili Yan goes the distance. I don't. I mean, look, it's a leg because I think it hits, but I don't like it because the odds are going to be shit. So it's one of those weird. I'll take it, but I'm not happy about it. So I don't know what the total odds were. Me, Will, and Dom were discussing this prior to recording, and I think we think, or at least Will thinks, the odds are going to be around 4 point something something. So I'm happy if that's the case. As for the alt bets, I mean, you see a lot of TBDs there. I usually have my alt bets ready by the time I do my write up because a lot of my alt bets are opposed to picks, and I have done 0 picks. So the only alt bet there is Yan via KO because I think that Merab's chin is still pretty susceptible. I mean, if you look at Jan's history when it comes to fights, I mean, you can not ignore the whole Marlon Moraes knockdown incident that happened in that first round when they fought. Yeah, and if someone like Moraes can like knock you down, not you, but like Merab, I reckon Jan in his prime, so to speak. I don't know how old Jan is. He's probably like 33, but Jan can certainly do some damage. And as Dom said, you know, Jan was injured. You know, his right hand was broken or whatever. He didn't throw it that much when he fought Dvalishvili in the first place. So I do think that there is a potential for a knockout here from Peter Jan. And yeah, that's it for me.
I mean, are those odds confirmed? 10.5 for the
yeah, I got them on Sportsbet, so they're still the same on Sportsbet.
Okay, so there are some props out. Okay, that's good to know. I hadn't.
Yeah, only for that fight though. Everything else is just blank.
Okay. Are they out for you as well?
Brand. Yeah, it's the Flutter brand. So it's FanDuel in the US, Paddy Power, Betfair, Sky Bet in the UK. They've all got the same odds for everything. They're the only ones who price it up. They usually do a terrible job of it, but not this time. It's all right.
Yeah, I just seeing that on Betfair in the UK, they do have the props out, and Yan by KO is 10 here. So I'll probably sprinkle that as well. Thanks for that. Josh?
All good, all good. Hopefully he hits it right. That'd be nice.
And Peter Yan to win in rounds 4, 5, or by decision is 6, which seems pretty good. So actually, I will put something on that now before I forget. Yeah, and the next section is our pod bets. So we've been tanking recently. We're like on 7 straight lost bets. We haven't hit anything in the last 2 episodes, so we really need to rectify that this week. We prepared some ahead of the recording. We're showing that now. The first is the parlay that we talked about, the Zesty parlay, Talbot and Dawson. So yeah, Will, which of these 2 guys is more at risk, do you think, of losing? And plus money's pretty good, right? I'd say for this Zesty parlay.
Zesty parlay. Yeah, I think plus money is definitely more is appealing enough to have a go at it. Which one loses more likely? I don't know. It's tricky. I think Talbot is the one I'm more confident in, I think, because I really do struggle to see how Henry Cejudo wins the fight, given that he's probably not going to finish him. Whereas with Dawson, I could see, like, just in a moment of madness, Dawson just getting put to sleep or getting caught in a deep sub. But I still think that both of those possibilities happen a lot less likely than the odds are indicating that they do. So I think there's value on both men. I think that sports betting is not about picking the lock. It's about deciding which person wins more likely than the odds indicate. And I think both of these selections have value on them. And I think that is the logical combination if you were looking for a 2-legger for this card. I think those are the 2 you should go for. There's risk. Hold your breath in round 1 when Grant Dawson's fighting. But after that, you'll look like value and you'll feel like a king.
Yeah, so for us, $5 is 1 unit, so we've got 2.5 units here. We're both playing it for 2, I think, but I've increased it by half unit because the fact that we're both taking it increases the confidence. So there, we locked that in, and then the other bet we wanted to take was Brendan Moreno, and I don't think, Josh, you've talked about Brandon Moreno much, but what do you like about Brandon Moreno in this spot here?
I feel like when it comes to, the baby assassin, we are going to see just a classic showcase of veteran experience compared to rising hype. I'm always going to be someone who looks favorably somewhat to Tatsuro Taira. I like Taira. He's a cool dude. His grappling is amazing. But at the end of the day, this is mixed martial arts, not ADCC or whatever it is, whatever the grappling thing is, right? Moreno has all of the accolades you can think of when it comes to mixed martial arts skill sets. He's got some belt in BJJ. I think I don't know, but like it doesn't matter as long as he can cancel out whatever Taira does, and he will. I mean, it's a high level fight, and Moreno is so used to that. I mean, he fought four times against Figgy during Figgy's peak, I suppose. He has fought KKF, Kaikara France. So many of these highly dangerous opponents, and he has practically thrived in them, right? I don't think Taira has really faced that adversity. I mean, we have seen him face, was it Royval before or something like that? And he did okay, but Moreno is just a different fucking animal, really. And excuse the French there, I mean, but geez. So yeah, it's a good dog pick, I suppose, if that is a dog. Yeah, +1 in 5. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm down for it.
Yeah, I think there's a point you kind of mentioned there. It's really the level of competition is really quite stark between the two. I mean, Moreno has been facing the best of the best really just constantly for the last 10 years. And I know that recently Taira's had a bit of a step up, as you mentioned, Royval, but he lost that fight to Royval. He hasn't really fought anyone, like Hyun Sung Park, who came in very short notice. He beat him. Alex Perez was an injury. Before that, it was Carlos Hernandez, Edgar Chairez, Jesus Aguilar, CJ Vergara and Carlos Candelario. Now, I'll take my hat off. I mean, it's not easy to get a long win streak in the UFC, so I'm not denigrating any of these fighters, but they're just not on the level of opponent that Brandon Moreno's been facing. You look at Brandon Moreno, and it's pretty crazy. You know, so he beat Steve Erceg, who we know, you know, had a title shot and gave Pantoja a run for his money. Ahmet Albazi was at one point one of the hottest prospects in the flyweight division. Then he had, who did he have before that? Pantoja, Royval, Figueiredo, Kai Kara France, Figueiredo, and Royval again. So yeah, I mean, it's just he's had an epic career. I just don't think you can overlook that. So yeah, we're happy to take Brandon Moreno. Same odds as the parlay, actually, plus 105. We'll lock that in. And yeah, we're going to right the ship this week. So before we go, Josh, would you mind doing the honors?
Sure thing. All right. Join our Discord where we actively chat about fights, betting opportunities, and a whole lot more. I mean, it's a thriving environment right now. We are laughing at memes. We are chatting about whatever happens in the UFC world. It's great. So join there if you're up for a good discussion or a good laugh. Follow us on Twitter or X as that's the best place, or at least second best place to find our episodes, because as soon as we upload them to YouTube, I pretty much post them on Twitter, and that's it. So yeah, you can't miss it if you both subscribe to us and follow us on Twitter. And if you have a fetish for MMA betting or wisdom in MMA betting, you know, feel free to check out the UFC Sharp subreddit, where both Dom and Will post their write-ups there every fight week. And yeah, as always, thank you for joining us for this episode. If you enjoy this content, feel free to leave a like or a comment, and wallop that subscribe button, and stay tuned for next week, where we release our early leans and predictions for UFC Fight Night Royval versus Cap in the Apex, which is never a good thing.